Fine. Yeah, you say something. When I first got the truck, it had a stock Gaz 66 bumper. It was pretty beaten up and stuck out way in front of the vehicle. I decided to build a new bumper. Whoever did the engine conversion had also messed with the front suspension brackets, and they'd done a really bad job. The truck needed more strength there. I started by removing the old bumper and grabbed a couple of pieces of square from the scrappy. This truck is a design as you build project, so I generally only do enough planning to get back to work. I marked out the cut lines and set to it with a 4-inch grinder and thin cut-off wheels. Resting the two end sections in a piece of angle iron got them in line so they'd look good when people were looking over the truck. It took a while to get back into the rhythm of welding. The welds were too scruffy to leave as they were, so I ground them up. Looks like I forgot about arc burn. Long sleeves tomorrow. Then I chopped the chassis short. In hindsight, I could have left another couple inches on there, but there's no turning back now. Another piece of scrap steel to make the end caps for the chassis will also pick up the brackets that hold the spring mounts. The come along is great, all things in line. Originally I intended to have the bumper stepping forward at the angle of the Stinger. But when I got it on the truck and saw how it looked, I decided to turn the ends back towards the cab. Letting the cab into the bumper was a stupid move. It looks great, but it was dumb. And here's why. The lights hit the bumper and the cab tips forward. So now I had to change the lights so I can fit the bumper. Here's one of the few video clips I took at the time. Here we are on the bumper build. Now, it's trying to build a nice bumper that's nice and snug around the body. Still just enough space to tip the cab forward. And there's a real trick. It's just getting really hard to get everything lined. And then I discovered that the cab mounts, the rubber underneath them, one side's got about 5mm more than the other, so the cab is actually out of line to the chassis. So, to finish my bumper, I've got to remount the cab. Joy balls. And then I started undoing this bolt, and I noticed it's jammed hard up against there, and that's because just in here is one big fuck off spring about to make my life really exciting really fast. So chain the cab down and we'll get into it. Now this looks more sketchy than it was. There wasn't actually that much weight required to hold everything in position. It turned out that the bushes were also needed some attention, so I split a piece of PVC pipe and sanded it down till it fitted. The cab doesn't hinge very often and the PVC is fine for that application. I couldn't buy the standard Hock rubber mounts, so I used some stock rubber bushes, the same as I used to mount the radiator. To modify the lights so they're flush, I pushed the grille panel to the front of this overhang with 20mm spacers. I didn't want to modify the frame behind the lights any more than drilling a hole for the loom to go through. The lights themselves mounted behind the panel on threaded rods. I used dome nuts for a steampunk look when mounting both the lights and the grille panel. I didn't like the fake grille gaps, so I cut them out. As you can see, the bottom of the fakes is a lot smaller than the other gaps, but the top edge is consistent. That meant the cut didn't have to be deadly accurate, as the edge would be formed back and not visible. My mate Nozzy is bringing back a panel cutter, but it wasn't here. I used a jigsaw. Jigsaws are great for panel work. If you buy one, be sure to get one with adjustable bite. This makes the blade come forward to cut and means you can cut fast with slow RPM. And you can turn it off to do more delicate, more accurate work. The cheaper models without this function hold the blade at an angle so it advances as it rises. And they're shit. Even though the blades are all new, I used one to cut the long sections and a second blade with full set to cut around the ends. Taking the foot off helps manoeuvrability, and leaning the saw over reduces your turning out, as the saw is cutting up towards the surface. On sheet, you barely notice the angle cut, and it's pretty quick to sand off if needed. It took a little while to sort out how to successfully move the steel the way it needed to go. came out pretty good. I'll probably tidy it up if I paint it, but for now it's hard to see the faults through the cracked paint. Because of the overhang, the fixings to mount the grille on were a bit of a challenge. The truck needed M8 bolts threading into the cab with M14 dome nuts on the outside. It would have been great to have a lathe to make up some step bolts, but I don't. So the solution was this: a stud made from a grub screw welded to an M8 bolt. The L&T hex drive means that I didn't have to lock the nuts onto the studs, and I can assemble it in whatever order is convenient. In our society there isn't much pride in being working class, but I named the truck Bannock anyway. Bannock is a Lao word for a rural person. Hillbilly is probably the closest English term. The kind of kid who comes to town and doesn't know how to use a toilet and gets excited riding an escalator. The sign writing was done in polish on patina. I drew it out a couple of times to get something I was happy with. It needed to be blocky but inexact enough to look obviously handcrafted. I embossed the lines with a centre punch. Then the letters were polished with a couple of flat wheels. This is a situation where it's good to do the bulk of the work with one wheel and the edges with a crisp new one to get a cleaner line. It's not finished yet, but you get the idea. So as you can see, a simple bumper build blew up into quite a complex project. Subscribe to the channel and remember to hit the bell so you get notified when I post another video. And you'll get to see what all this shit looks like when it's back on the truck. Have a great day.